What up? What up? What's up, guys? Aaron Coscarelli, Tyler Dragon back with you. Bleav in Rams, part of the Bleav Network. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, follow this podcast. You can catch us on Bleav TV. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform. And Tyler, your number one source for online betting in 2025. That's right. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. The largest selection of odds on everything football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, even UFC, by the way. BetOnline is your number one sports betting source for the new year. We've got every touchdown to three-pointer, hat tricks, you name it. BetOnline has got you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. We've got a lot to break down in this show. First and foremost, some awards to give out. We've got the Super Bowl on deck, a rematch of Super Bowl 57, Chiefs and Eagles. So much to break down. I'm so curious to hear what you guys are thinking. And of course, my co-host, Tyler Dragon. First and foremost, Ty, you were in Kansas City. What was that like?
Well, it was cold, number one. Being a Southern California guy, I was freezing my butt off in Kansas City. But the game, in all seriousness, was it was an amazing game. Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You feel sorry for him because he almost played a perfect game and still lost. And that's because Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback I have ever seen, seriously. If I had to pick one quarterback all time to start my franchise, it would be Patrick Mahomes. And I say that because he always makes the necessary plays to win a football game every time. And he can play in any type of style. On Sunday, it wasn't just his arm. He used his legs, rushed for 2 rushing touchdowns, over 40 yards rushing. He was a better mobile quarterback than Josh Allen. And Josh Allen is known for that. So it's just a testament to Patrick Mahomes and the whole Chiefs team. Andy Reid, what can you say, me? A masterful game plan and play caller. Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, calling the right plays in the most important times, like that all-out blitz on 4th down, which calls Allen to throw that desperation pass that should have been caught. But, hey, like I said, the Chiefs make that play, and the Bills miss that play, and that's why the Chiefs are going on to the Super Bowl again for their 3rd straight Super Bowl and have a chance to be the first team in history to win 3 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah, looking for a three-peat. Impressive indeed. I'm glad that you mentioned Patrick Mahomes because I have a very hard question for you. But yeah, guys, we're going to break down a little bit of the game, preview Super Bowl. So curious to get your take, Tyler. Not surprised these two teams, of course, ended up there. I felt like if the Rams could beat the Eagles, that was going to be the toughest test. I think the Eagles are truly the strongest team in the NFC. And yeah, it was a great AFC championship match between the Bills and the Chiefs. And one of the things I did want to ask, and of course, we're going to give awards out as well on this show. Tyler and I are going to make some picks to see who we think could be the MVP, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, all of that. We'll get to that momentarily. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting that I wanted to ask you, Ty, was like you mentioned, Mahomes going for the three-peat, 3rd in a row, never been done before. The Chiefs would be the first team to do it. Adam Vinatieri recently was asked about Pat Mahomes, and he said, he was asked, where does, in the event, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl 59, where does that put Pat Mahomes in the GOAT conversation, right? Because he'll get his 4th ring if he wins the Super Bowl. Brady has 7. We all know Brady's the GOAT right now, but not even Brady's been able to earn 3 in a row. Look, it's hard to argue the conversation of who is the GOAT, but a lot can be said if you're able to bring your team back to back to back Super Bowl appearances and then you win the big one. When you're a Super Bowl winner, you have a target on your back the entire next season. Does Pat Mahomes belong in the GOAT conversation in the event he wins his 3rd straight Super Bowl and his 4th overall?
So to me, Tom Brady is the most accomplished quarterback of all time. The best quarterback of all time, most skill, is Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. I mean, what he's able to do at the quarterback position, Tom Brady can do. Tom Brady wasn't as fast. He didn't have a better arm. He's not as mobile. He's not as athletic, but he's probably a better winner. And that's why you put Tom Brady as the GOAT right now. And because he's the most accomplished. But if Patrick Mahomes wins his fourth ring, I mean, I think you have to put him in a GOAT conversation. He doesn't have to win 7 Super Bowls to be in the GOAT conversation. LeBron's in the GOAT conversation, doesn't have 6 rings like Michael Jordan. Yeah. So it's the same thing. Right. And that's not a knock on Tom Brady. You just if you're looking at just the eye test and you're watching film of Tom Brady throw passes and play in the NFL, and you're watching film of Patrick Mahomes, if you're watching their highlights, Aaron, you can't tell me that Tom Brady's highlights are better than Patrick Mahomes' top highlights. There's nobody that can tell me that. So, but it's not a knock on Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady's resume speaks for itself. It's unprecedented. Nobody has ever done that in NFL history. So, out of respect, you have to make him the GOAT right now. But Patrick Mahomes is nipping on his tugs for real.
I love the way you phrase that, right? Because I think you go, if he wins his 3rd straight, is Patrick Mahomes now crowned the GOAT? I don't think that that's a fair question. I think, does Mahomes need 7 rings to make him the GOAT? Because if you think about it, to be able to do what he's done in a shorter amount of time could make him more great. Whereas, Tom needed sort of different iterations of the Patriots to get it done. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that. Like, that's someone so much smarter than me to decide. And I don't even think there's actually a right answer. I think at the end of the day, it's all opinion based. But you're absolutely right. What we've seen from Pat Mahomes, certainly this season, but the seasons previous, can open the conversation for, does he deserve the GOAT title? You guys let us know what you think. I think it's going to be very interesting. He's still very young. He's been able to do it. And I think, of course, with a guy like Andy Reid, that certainly helps. Right. You can't even imagine how amazing their relationship's got to be. Like, I love Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid is amazing. But let's chop up this game, because it's not the Bills that that Mahomes and company have to go against now. It's the Eagles and their number 1 defense and dealing with Vic Fangio. First and foremost, can Mahomes find a way to handle the number 1 defense in the NFL? Do you feel like he's Vic Fangio versus Mahomes? How do you see this matchup going with the Chiefs offense against that really tough defense that we saw the Rams struggle against?
So let me ask you this. Do you play spades, Aaron?
Occasionally.
Okay. So I'm going to use this analogy. It's going to come full circle. So the Eagles have the most talented team in the NFL. Top to bottom, they have the most complete roster. They have the number 1 total defense. You look at what they do on offense, they have probably arguably the best offensive line in football. They have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith at receiver, arguably the 2 best collection of receivers outside of Cincinnati, and Saquon Barkley, who's probably playing the best football of any running back since Terrell Davis in the playoffs. But the Chiefs have the Joker, the big Joker. And when you have the big Joker, then you have a chance to win in spades. And the Chiefs have a chance to win in the Super Bowl because they have Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you can make a case that the Bills had the better roster than the Chiefs on Sunday, who won the game. When the Chiefs and the 49ers played in the Super Bowl, the 49ers had the better roster. The Chiefs still won the game. So that's why you have to give the edge to the Kansas City Chiefs, because they have not just the big Joker and Patrick Mahomes, but they have a gold jacket head coach in Andy Reid. They have a gold jacket tight end in Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones, who's arguably the best defensive tackle in the NFL, and he's going to be wearing a gold jacket in the Hall of Fame himself. And those collection of players and that head coach and even you can even say Steve Spagnuolo, probably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. They always make game-changing
Yeah.
plays or game-changing decisions to win the game. And that's why they are always in this position come the end of the season. So I said it before the playoffs. I'm not picking against the Chiefs anymore until somebody proves to me that they can beat them.
Yeah.
So I have
right.
the Chiefs.
So your point is, if I'm hearing it correctly, is it doesn't matter how star-studded the roster and the talent is. It's really how smart your football IQ situationally is. And the Chiefs have been battle tested. I mean, we saw this season, you know, they won very close games. Situationally, they're just very smart. And of course, they're talented. But that's tough to beat no matter what kind of stars you have on the roster in the lineup. When you just have smart situational football decisions under your belt and they can thrive under pressure, as we've seen Mahomes do year in and year out, they're contenders all the way. Yeah. Yep. We just got a nod. We just got a nod, which is true. That's the part that's crazy, is all the things that you mentioned. You know, Pat Mahomes is an unbelievable talent, and he's got Andy Reid as his head coach. He's got an incredible tight end. And you know, it's been really interesting to watch as sort of a different regime and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning retire, this new iteration, this new sort of generation of football talent just continues to make the NFL such a fun sport to watch. Okay, so, you know, so Mahomes, maybe the GOAT. He you know, according to Tyler, he deserves that title. So we shall see. I'm curious. I really want to find out from people at home how they feel about it, because it's such a
I think you low-key believe he's the GOAT too. I think I convinced you.
I think you did, because you know what? If you really want to argue it, at the end of the day, Pat Mahomes is the better quarterback. You know, I mean, he's a scrambler. He can sling it. You know, I think the thing that you have to argue, the argument sake for Brady, is he's just one unbelievable smart, you know, he's gutsy, not afraid, and just his work ethic in Tom Brady. But when it comes to true football quarterback qualities, you know, you can't not say it would be Patrick Mahomes. I mean, his stats.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So if you had to draft a quarterback with the number one pick, overall pick, and you got to pick any quarterback in NFL history to start your franchise, who would you pick?
Well, here's what I will say.
From scratch.
Exactly. I actually wouldn't pick Brady, believe it or not. So that's my answer. I wouldn't necessarily pick Brady. I think what Brady does so great is galvanize players together. His work ethic is unmatched. He's incredibly intelligent, but I still probably would not assume he's the most competitive, talented, well-rounded quarterback with what you've seen, these new, fresh, sort of emerging faces over the last 4, 5, 6 years, this new draft of talent that we're seeing. So sure, I guess that's by virtue of omission and not picking Brady.
So you're not going to pick a quarterback exactly?
Just trying to get out of it. Because it's not easy. I mean, there's so many great ones. I mean, you know, you have Rodgers, you have Peyton, you have, you know, Montana. You have so many based on their era talented quarterbacks. But if you're going to go ahead and say it, you know, you can't deny that Patrick Mahomes, this generation of football players, he is the best. I mean, his stats and his postseason record is showing us all that he deserves it. So, but I don't like arguing with you. So we're going to move right along. I do need to tell you a little bit about Underdog Fantasy. It is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. All you need to do, Ty, is pick higher or lower on your favorite player stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money. I recently made 6 picks for the 2 championship games. And when I made all my picks. I tallied it up, and I had a chance to win over $1,100, guys. $50 with a chance to win 1,100 buckaroos. We do have a special promo for you guys tuning in. It's Bleav Rams. That's BLEAV Rams. This promo code gives new users a free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Play alongside us and make some money. Let's talk awards. I mean, it's always fun to sort of speculate. End the year NFL honors is fast approaching, right before the big game, the big Super Bowl game. Let's chop up who we think could win some of these awards. How about Coach of the Year? So, who's up for nomination? Dan Campbell of the Lions, Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings, Sean Payton with the Broncos, Dan Quinn, and of course Andy Reid. Who do you think this year is most deserving of Coach of the Year?
I'll pick Kevin O'Connell. He's done the most with the least. I mean, what he's able to do with Sam Darnold at quarterback. We saw how Sam Darnold flamed out towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Nobody expected the Vikings to be in contention, and Kevin O'Connell really turned around that franchise this year to pretty much an NFC contender. So him for sure.
It's hard to not argue that he deserves it. I mean, maybe Dan Campbell, but I would say what the Vikings had to deal with, all that adversity. I think Sam Darnold too is on the list of comeback players of the year. We'll get to that momentarily, but you can't not say O'Connell or Dan Campbell would be my other one. How about assistant coach of the year? Assistant coach of the year. I'm going to go ahead and say Ben Johnson. I think there's a reason why he was highly sought after as a head coach candidate. What he's been able to do with the Lions, alongside maybe runner-up, Kellen Moore. I would give those two guys sort of the advantage for assistant coach of the year. Ty, what do you think?
So just to be a contrarian, I was going to pick Ben Johnson, but then I thought about it, and I'm going to pick the defense coordinator, Aaron Glenn. And I do that because the Lions on defense were decimated by injuries. Ben Johnson pretty much had his old collection of offensive skill players, but Aaron Glenn did not. We saw Aiden Hutchinson and a lot of players go down for Detroit, but they still battled each and every week, won a division, won the number one seed in all the NFC, despite all those injuries. So that takes a lot of coaching, a lot of game plan adjustments, personnel adjustments. So I have to give it to Aaron Glenn. But congratulations to both of those coaches for getting head coaching jobs too, though.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to see that happen, certainly get rewarded for what they were able to do with their respective teams and the situations that they were under. The biggest award, I would say, being handed out at this year's NFL Honors, the MVP, AP, Most Valuable Player. The guys on the list, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Lamar Jackson. I have my pick. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. It's not a quarterback for me. But I don't know I know you love yourself some Josh Allen. What is that, your pick, Josh Allen?
No, I'm waiting to hear your pick.
I think it's Saquon.
Wow. I'm shocked. I wish it would be Saquon.
I wish it's not, but yeah.
Yeah. MVP is a quarterback driven award. And it's funny you think I'm going to pick Josh Allen because I got in an argument on a plane with a Bills fan from LA to Kansas City. I got in an argument with the Bills fan about who should win the MVP. And I picked Lamar Jackson to win because he's done something that no other player in NFL history has done. Throw for over 4,000 yards, rush for over 900 yards. I mean, you look at his stats, what he's been able to do in the regular season with the Baltimore Ravens, you got to give the award to Lamar Jackson. But that's not a knock on Josh Allen. He's had an excellent season. And if it wasn't for a historic season by Lamar Jackson, I would have picked Josh Allen to win the award because it's a quarterback-driven award. If it wasn't, Saquon Barkley. So I sort of agree with you, but I just know he's not. We know he's not going to win.
First of all, I love that you got into an argument with a Bills fan. I mean, you should have just, hung it up there. You weren't going to end up winning it on a flight with a Bills fan.
They were drinking too.
Oh,
I was having just a regular water, and yeah, they were inebriated. It was a long flight.
I mean, let me ask you this. Realistically, I think you make a great point. It's not likely it's going to be Saquon, maybe offensive player. But do you think realistically it's going to be Lamar? I mean, who do you think is actually going to get that award? Josh Allen, most likely, right?
No, I think it's going to be Lamar.
Okay.
I even talked to people with votes, and they picked Lamar. So
okay.
Yeah.
We've got a little tea spilled.
It's gonna be close.
But
I think it's gonna be Lamar.
Okay. All right. Comeback player of the year: Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, J.K. Dobbins, Christian Gonzalez, and DeMar Hamlin. For me, it's Sam Darnold. It's not because I'm a USC homer. Yes, I did go to USC. Shh, quiet down. Tyler's obviously a Bruin, but Sam Darnold did the impossible. He did the impossible, okay? Or maybe it was his coach. But Sam Darnold showed up when he needed. I think a lot of people like Baker Mayfield counted out what Sam Darnold was capable of doing. And I think he proved a lot of doubters wrong. One of them being me, actually. I really thought, you know what, Sam Darnold, put a fork on him. He's done, back up, whatever. But he had a resurgence that I think was very impressive, and what he was able to do with the Vikings, taking them all the way to the wild card. I mean, they won 14 games.
I hear you, Erin. He proved the doubters right in Week 18 and in Glendale, Arizona.
Gold. That's gold.
He certainly proved them right there as well. You know who I'm gonna pick. You know I'm gonna pick Saquon. Wait, this is comeback, or no? This is comeback. Sorry.
Yeah.
Comeback. Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Joe Burrow is my comeback player of the year, and that's because season-ending wrist injury last year, and he's in the MVP discussion. We just mentioned he's one of the candidates to win. If it wasn't for the Bengals defense and then making just terrible game-losing plays to lose games, and I'm talking about all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams, the Bengals would have been in the playoffs, and they would have been a tough out in the playoffs. So Joe Burrow had remarkable, very impressive numbers this year, just in a losing effort. So I got to pick Joe Burrow just because what he did individually for his Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, and like you said, comeback and a potential MVP candidate says it all itself. However, I will argue Sam Darnold getting sacked 9 times in a game, he deserves some type of award. Okay, sacked 9 times by the Rams in that wild card game. Give the man an award. He had to deal with getting taken down to the ground several times. Poor Sam.
Speaking as a Trojan.
Defensive player of the year: Zach Bond, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Patrick Surtain, TJ Watt. Who do you got?
I really want to pick Patrick Surtain, but I'm going to pick TJ Watt. I mean, seems like every time I watched a Steelers win during the regular season, he had a huge impact in that win, whether it was a strip sack, whether it was a huge sack to bring up 4th down, or, it's just TJ Watt was a menace this season. Very disruptive on the defensive end of the football. So I had picked him.
I love it. I love what we're seeing coming out of Denver. I love the Sean Payton ad. And now I love Pete Carroll being in that division and going up against Jim Harbaugh. So I think that AFC West is going to be a division to keep an eye on. Well, maybe we'll talk about that in a moment. A couple more awards to give out. How about Defensive Rookie of the Year? Braden Fiske is on that list. So is Jared Verse. I love that we've got 2 Rams players accompanied by 2 Eagles as well as a Dolphin. But I'm assuming you're going to give Defensive Rookie of the Year to Jared Verse.
I will be kicked off the Bleav in Rams podcast if I did not pick a Ram. Right. I'm going to pick Jared Verse. No, because he deserves it. I mean, what he's been able to do for the Rams. I mean, he was the best defensive rookie in the NFL this year. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yep. We are short for time, so we'll wrap up a couple more awards. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Brock Bowers, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Bo Nix, Brian Thomas Jr.
This should be the only unanimous decision, and it's Jaden Daniels.
Yep. Yep. I was going to say the same. Absolutely. Of course. That's a no-brainer. Really quickly, did you have a moment of the year? What for you was a moment of the year? So I'll give you my Rams moment of the year and then my other favorite like moment of the year. But I would say the Rams edging out the Bills, 44-42. No one really, I think, saw that coming. So I would say that thrilling game over the Buffalo Bills, just to cap off week 14 and get some respect on it. Those Rams, I think there were some really big, important, games that the Rams wanted and needed, especially with everything that they'd sort of been through this past season. And I think that was a moment for the Rams that put all of the NFL on notice that, hey, despite where they've come from, they have to be taken serious. And I thought that was one of the biggest moments for the Rams. The other thing that I thought was really fun, in terms of maybe not moment of the year, but I'm always excited as an NFL fan to love sort of some of the human interest pieces. And, the Harbaugh Bowl is just one of my favorite things to watch. I love that, Jim Harbaugh is now back in the NFL, head coach of the Chargers. We saw what he was able to do for LA in the AFC West. Couldn't take down his brother yet again. I want to say he's 0-3 against John, including the Super Bowl. But to add another layer, as I mentioned, I'm so excited to see him go up against Pete Carroll, right? Because now we've got Jim Harbaugh and Pete in the college routes. Originally in the NFC West when they were both head coaches, and now they're going to duel each other in the AFC West. So I think it's a fun storyline. Favorite moment, maybe not, but certainly one of those things that I think will keep people glued in because it's just an interesting sort of human interest piece.
I love your LA theme moments, both of them.
Thank you.
Mine are the Commanders' Hail Mary against the Chicago Bears. I mean, it was really a turning point for both franchises. We saw the Bears pretty much fire their head coach at the end of the season because they had lost every single game since that moment. And for the Commanders, they went on a winning streak, went on to the playoffs, obviously the NFC Championship game. So that was my moment of the season. I mean, how improbable was that play? You had the Bears celebrating already and celebrating too soon. So that was just an epic play. For my Rams moment, I know it's not the regular season, but I would have to pick that playoff game that got moved to Glendale, Arizona because of the deadly wildfires. Just a human interest piece in that. The whole city of LA just rooting for the Rams to win a playoff game. Just the Arizona Cardinals turning their whole their whole State Farm Stadium into SoFi Stadium, having a Rams field, just the sportsmanship from that aspect. All the LA teams donating money to the wildfires, teams from all over the country donating, and just the Rams getting that win and doing it for LA. And then being in that locker room and then playing Not Like Us in the locker room. So it was just a great feel-good moment for not only the Rams, but for the city of LA, for just to get everybody's mind off the wildfires and having a Rams win. So that was my moment for the Rams for sure.
Yeah. And you got to be there. You chimed in on our show live from State Farm Stadium. And yeah, of course, it was a big win for a city that really felt at that time very hopeless with everything that was going on. And you were in the thick of it. So was I. My mom was evacuated. A lot of friends and people we know who lost their homes. And I think that's a beautiful moment to end the show on as we wrap up our awards season and talk a little bit about the Super Bowl 59 that is just around the corner between the Chiefs and the Eagles. We'll be bringing more Rams content and maybe talk a little bit more even ahead of the big game. Curious to see how things shake out and how you see things shaking out, Ty, as we look to, keep going along with the show and maybe sort of dissect what worked, what didn't work, what moves the Rams may make. I love getting to sort of break down some of these things that could happen. And, we'll see. We'll keep you posted on Stafford's decision. As mentioned in a previous show, Sean McVay is wanting to get an answer from his quarterback fairly soon. So we'll bring all of that to you and so much more. Bleav in Rams. I'm Erin Coscarelli alongside Tyler Dragon, my co-host. Thank you guys so much for listening. Tyler, appreciate you.
See you soon.
Bye, guys.